Welcome to Attaché's 2020 End of Financial Year webinar. I am Sharon, Attaché's L&D Coordinator for Accounts. I also have Meghna who will be helping moderate this webinar. If you have any questions, please put them in the questions panel and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. If we don't get time to answer them, we will answer via email. This webinar has video content. Please use your computer audio in order to hear the video content. The webinar slides are attached and also the end of year processing PDF, which also can be accessed through our Help Centre. Today we will be covering the end of year checklists for suppliers, customers, products, asset management and general ledger. We will then go over creating a historical company and processing end of year. Today I am following the Attaché preferred method of accounts end of year as detailed in our Help Centre documentation. This information can be printed as a PDF from our Help Centre or viewed on screen at myattache.attachésoftware.com. While this is our preferred end of year procedure, we know every business is different, and if your company does things differently, I would suggest confirming with your consultant. If you don't know who your Attaché consultant is, please email clientservices@attachésoftware.com. Within the Help Centre topics, we have created some small videos to help with certain procedures. We are going to view a couple of these videos today in this presentation. By going to Help About Attaché, you will see the version that you are using. If you are using the modern menu, your version is displayed on your desktop. End of year processing will work from Attaché Accounts 1.17, which is the March 2016 version. However, we do recommend Attaché 19.2. If you're required to submit a TPAR report, Attaché 18.2 includes ATO updates. Again, we recommend 19.2 to start the new financial year. To upgrade, please see your Attaché consultant. You may want to block access to your company while completing the end of year processing. To block user access, go to File, Set Up and Delete Companies. We have a small video on this process that we are going to watch now.
This short video explains how to block user access to a company. Go to File, Set Up and Delete Companies. Choose Find F2 to select the company to block. Select the Block User Access checkbox. Users will not see the blocked company on their Open Company screen until the company is unblocked. Clear the Block User Access checkbox to allow access to the company. Thank you for viewing this short video on blocking access to your Attaché company.
I'm going to go through the checklist for each module, including some reconciliations. Then we will look at processing end of year. The checklists are all accessible in our Help Centre. We have checklists for you to ensure everything has been done. If you're doing all your modules together, there is no need to do multiple archives for each module. But if you are doing end of year on a module by module basis, it would be a good idea to keep backups for that module when you do your end of year process. We have checklists for period-based end of period procedures and date-based end of period procedures. If you're not sure if you are date-based or period-based, we have included a page on our Help Centre that details the differences, but you should confirm with your Attaché consultant. When finalising suppliers for end of year, finalise all transactions, ensuring all goods received notes, invoices, payments and credit adjustment notes have been entered for the year. Print your supplier GL postings report and post supplier transactions to the general ledger. Run your BAS allocations report to check the details that will be updated on the BAS return. Then run the BAS update to process end of period, making sure that the period end date is the 30th of June 2020. Please note that the BAS period numbers do not reset during the end of year processing. Print any reports required and archive your data. Before closing the books for each reporting period, you want to make sure the total of the aged trial balance matches with the trade creditor's control accounts. If you're period-based, print out the supplier aged trial balance. If you're date-based, use the aging report. Totals need to match what is in your general ledger. If there is a variance, check the following. P&L balance sheet report and the supplier aging report are printed for the correct period. All supplier transactions have been posted to the general ledger for the period. Print the supplier general ledger postings report to check. Transactions that have been posted to the correct period, to check, print the general ledger transactions by account report for prior and future periods. Check that supplier transactions have not been future dated and that journal entries have not been posted directly to the trade creditor's control account. We're now going to watch a small video detailing the processes on checking the last 2 points. To check if any transactions have been future dated, go to Suppliers, Reports, Supplier Aging Detail Report. Make the aging date 2099, and that will bring up any future dated transactions. There are 2 dates you want to look at, the document date and the due date. We can see here there is one that is due 30th of June 29, which is obviously a mistake that needs to be fixed. To check if any journal entries have been made directly to the trade creditor's control account or trade debtors for customers, go to General Ledger, Master File Inquiry screen and put in the account code for the trade creditor's account. Press F5 to bring up the transactions, F3 to check you are checking the whole year, period 1 to 12 for the whole year. Print to screen and we can see the source of the transactions. The ones that are coming directly from the general ledger are going to cause a problem and need to be fixed. The customer's checklist is similar to suppliers. Finalise all your transactions, ensuring all orders have been updated and invoices, payments and credit adjustment notes have been entered for the year. Print your customer GL postings report and post transactions to the general ledger. Run your customer BAS allocations report to check the details that will be updated on the BAS return, then run the BAS update to process the period, making sure the period end is the 30th of June 2020. Run the final BAS, making sure the end date is the 30th of June 2020. Print any reports required, for example the customer age trial balance or customer aging report, customer sales register or customer payments report. Archive your data. Take note of the date and time and keep this archive as a permanent record. Before closing the books at the end of each reporting period, verify that the total of the customer aging report matches the trade debtor's control account balance in the general ledger. Doing so ensures that the amount of accounts receivable reported in the balance sheet is correct. If there is any variance, check the following: that the P&L balance sheet report and the customer aging report are printed for the correct periods, that all customer transactions have been posted to the general ledger for the period. Print the customer GL postings report to check that the transactions have been posted to the correct period, and to check this, print the general ledger transactions by account report for prior and future periods. Customer transactions have not been future dated. To check, print the customer aging report and change the year to 2099, just as we did in the video. Also check that journal entries have not been made to the trade debtors control account. For the end of year checklist for products, finish processing your transactions, ensuring any product adjustments have been entered for the year. Complete your stock take. Print your product's GL postings report and post transactions to the general ledger. Print any reports required, for example, the product status by date or the product status report. Archive your data. Take note of the time and date and keep this archive as a permanent record. For your end of year stock take, Attaché does have a great stock take workflow. You can also refer to our end of year stock take procedures in our Help Centre. For asset management end of year checklist, check the current period and historic asset settings. Going to Setups, Asset Management, Options, check the current period is 12. If required, check the Auto Delete Historic Assets during End of Year checkbox so that the historic assets are deleted if there are no current year transactions. Complete all other required transactions for the year. If any assets have been acquired or disposed of throughout the period, ensure the clearing accounts have been cleared. Ensure all GL entries have been sent to Asset from Asset Management. Print the Asset Management GL postings report and post General Ledger transactions to the General Ledger. Reconcile Asset Management to the control accounts in the General Ledger using the Annual Asset Summary Report. Print reports, for example, Fixed Assets Audit Trail, Asset Summary, Depreciation Schedule and Annual Asset Summary. And don't forget to archive your data. For General Ledger, check the period is set to the last period of the financial year and finalise all transaction entries. Ensure all journals and other module postings have been entered for the year and that bank reconciliation is complete. Print the year-to-date trial balance report and make sure the last year column is 0 and that the debit and credit columns are equal. Print the profit and loss balance sheet and ensure that it balances. That is, that the net assets equal the total equity or shareholders' funds. Archive your data, taking note of the date and time of the archive, and keep this as a permanent record. It is important to check your chart of accounts as there may have been accounts added or deleted throughout the year. We have put together a small video to help people in checking their chart of accounts.
This short video goes through checking the chart of accounts. Navigate to General Ledger, Reports, Details, Chart List, and print the chart list. Check the Add to Accounts. Each posting account must add to a total account. For example, these sales accounts all add to the total sales account. Check the end of year indicator. Income and expenses should be reset. Assets and liabilities should be retained. This ensures balances are taken forward to the new financial year. Retained earnings brought forward must be brought forward and post to the corresponding account. Retained earnings carried forward must be carried forward and post to the corresponding account. Both the retained earning accounts must point back to each other. Thank you for viewing this short video on checking your chart of accounts.
Before closing the books at end of each reporting period, verify that your General Ledger financial reports balance. Print your General Ledger trial balance and check the debits equal the credits. Print the P&L and balance sheet and check that net assets equals total equity. Print the bank reconciliation report and check the difference is 0. These are the most common questions we get at the end of year. The financial reports out of balance, unwanted page breaks on financial reports, account descriptions appearing above a heading on financial reports, the account codes not printing or printing incorrectly on reports, transactions missing or not printing in bank reconciliations, and created batch relating to the wrong period. We have a page in our Help Centre with the problems, causes and solutions that you may want to reference. The next step is creating a copy of your Attaché data to make a historical company. We have created a video detailing this process that we're going to watch now.
This short video describes how to make a copy of your Attaché data. Access your current company. Go to File, Archive Current Company to begin the backup process. When finished, the message Data Archived Successfully is displayed at the bottom of the archive screen. To create a new company for last year's data, go to File, Set Up and Delete Companies, and enter a new company name. For example, company name last financial year. Select Yes when asked if you want to create a new company. The database name and the data path are created automatically. Now sign into the new company. Go to File, Restore Company from Archive, and select the archive you just created and choose File Restore. You now have a copy of your data. You can check the data has restored correctly by inquiring and running reports. Thank you for viewing this short video on making a copy of your Attaché data.
Now that you have two companies, one current data and one historical data, at this point run the P&L and balance sheets to make sure that both companies are the same. Now, which company do you run end of year on? You run end of year on the current company, the same company that you will enter 2020-21 transactions on. Do not run end of year on your historical company. Once you've gone through the checklists and reconciled everything and created a historical company, you're ready to process end of year on each module. The first module we're doing is suppliers. Go to suppliers, period end of period suppliers. It is important to check both period and end of year so that you don't double up. Now we'll go and do customers. Go to customers, period end of period customers. Again, check both the end of period and the end of year checkboxes. And if you want to delete cash register temporary accounts, check the checkbox there as well. When you do end of year process for customers and for suppliers, all the period-to-date and year-to-date sales and cost figures clear. The amount for each period moves to the next aging category, and then you can print your end-of-period reports. For products, select Products, Period End, End of Period, Products. Again, select End of Period to Yes and End of Year to Yes. All your period to date and year to date quantity, sales and cost figures clear, and the opening stock changes to equal the quantity in stock. Now we're going to asset management. Asset management end of year is a bit different. There is no end of period or end of year checkboxes. Select Transactions, Asset Management, End of Period. Take note of any warnings you may get in the notification boxes. The current period resets to 1 and dates update to the new financial year. If you have selected to delete historic assets, they are deleted. Now you can run your end of year asset management reports. For General Ledger end of year, check that the period has been set to the last period of the financial year. Choose General Ledger, Period End, End of Period, End of Year. Set the Copy this year to last year field to No. If you use budgets, you can choose to either maintain the current budget or reset it. If you use bank reconciliation, you must choose to retain unreconciled transactions. Print a trial balance to ensure that the end-of-year process has completed correctly. To enter adjustment journals in the 1920 General Ledger, sign into your 1920 company. Enter your journal adjustments, print out your P&L and balance sheet, and check that your GL balance has been updated. To adjust opening balances in the 2021 General Ledger, sign in to your current company, choose Setups, General Ledger Opening Balances, enter opening balances, and then choose either Maintain Balances to manually adjust opening balances, or import last year's data to import from the 1920 General Ledger. Select the company to import last year's data from. Or if you are using Accounts 1.17 or earlier, enter the data path of your 1920 company. Set the Adjust this year's opening balances checkbox to Yes, and then choose Accept. Print the year-to-date General Ledger trial balance and ensure that last year's column is 0 and that the debit and credit columns are equal. You may have the situation where you receive an invoice from a supplier that belongs in the last financial year. To process supplier invoices received in July that should be in the previous financial year, choose Suppliers, Transactions, Invoices, Create, and enter the supplier invoices into your current data company. Print the GL postings for suppliers dated 30th of June, selecting the date range of the transactions. Because these transactions belong in the previous financial year's ledger, you need to log into the historical company and post to the General Ledger. Log into the 1920 company and choose General Ledger, Transactions, Post from Other Modules. Make sure the period is 12. Enter the date range for the new transactions for the last financial year. Select from Other Company and choose your current data company from the list where you entered the invoice and select the date range of the transactions. If you're using Attaché Accounts 1.17 or earlier, the procedure is slightly different where you enter the path of your current company. Now that changes have been made to the 1920 General Ledger, you'll need to adjust the opening balances of the current company General Ledger. You may wish to prevent anyone changing the data in the historical company, and you may even want to prevent access to the historical company altogether. We have created a short video to assist with this procedure. This video can be accessed in our Help Centre and on our YouTube channel.
This short video explains how to disable editing functions and prevent access to Attaché company. Disabling edit functions prevents users below the specified password level from opening maintenance tasks. A maintenance task is any task which allows a user to create, edit, maintain, or delete data. A non-maintenance task include inquiry, lookup, and reporting. Sign on to Attaché and go to File, Set up and delete companies. Select the required company. Set the Disable Edit Functions checkbox to Yes and enter a password level from 1 to 9. Any user below this password level will be prevented from opening maintenance tasks in that company. Making a company unavailable to a user means it will not be displayed on the company's list when they sign on or when they choose Open Company from the File menu. Go to File, Set up and delete companies. Select the company and then choose User Access. Use Available or Unavailable and All Yes or All No to indicate which companies the user can access. Once a user has no access, they will not see the company on the login screen. Thank you for viewing this short video on disabling editing and preventing access to the company.
When you have finished everything for end of year, don't forget to unblock access to your current company. To unblock user access, log in and choose File, Set up and Delete Companies. Select the company you wish to unblock and deselect Block User Access. Users will again see the company listed on their Open Company screen. Today we have covered versions, checklists, creating historical companies and processing end of year. All of the information relating to today's webinar and the accounts end of year can be found in our Help Centre. Any other questions that you may have after the webinar, you can email training@attachésoftware.com. All the videos that we watched during this webinar are also available through our Help Centre. And finally, our Attaché training and webinars can be found at attachésoftware.com/training. I thank you all for attending this webinar. And good luck to you all for end of year 2019-2020.